Yes, I have a little ramble on like analysis and content that I kind of wanted to go into. But first, before I do that, I want to quickly define analysis, which is essentially just dissecting something to understand it better. Think about it like, I don't know, if you were to cut open a cow's eye and look at the contents of it, look at each structure, and then refer that back to how a cow sees, I guess. Essentially, in short, that's analysis. But what I wanted to talk about mainly today is a Hexen video that was released recently, which is called How to Improve at X Rank. First of all, after watching the whole video, I watched the whole thing through just to put that out there, make my point clear on this, that I watched it the whole way through. He doesn't actually talk about how to get better at X Rank at all. He talks about at 23 minutes, the main point of that mentality is a very strong point in winning games, is that keeping a strong mentality will win you games, which is very true. I agree with that. But I do have my qualms with that video overall, but I just want to really focus in on something he talks about in the video. He, after a flounder.
I know a lot of people probably want analysis that's deeper than that, but if you're a high level player, you probably understand there's not that much to talk about. And if you're a low level player and you want deeper analysis, you probably wouldn't understand a lot of the nuances that I am talking about or would be talking about. So I think that's kind of a weird thing with analysis in this game right now because a lot of it is just fighting, taking good angles, moving around well. And I think there are a lot of like small things you can kind of break down, but it's hard. I think it's hard to talk about those things and actually get a message through and not break the game down second by second and spend all day doing it. I think it's honestly a lot better of an idea to just talk about the overarching themes of what I'm doing and what I'm thinking because respectfully, most of it just doesn't matter.
He says that like he understands that people want deeper analysis, but that he sees it as not necessary. For a couple of reasons. He says that the low level people who watch his videos won't understand the analysis, and the high levels already know what he's talking about. Specifically, he says that the levels won't understand like the nuance that he's like when he speaks with nuance in terms of what he's analyzing, and he says that if he wants to analyze, it'd be going like pausing all the time and talking about everything that's happening, which I call pause spam VOD review. So first of all, I want to get something out of the way. What he's describing is VOD review, just flat out. He's watching back a replay and he's looking at what went right, what went wrong, and what is currently happening. That's just VOD review. That's not analysis. Analysis does look at all these games. It does look at a bunch of games, but it's also trying to find commonalities. It's trying to dissect what's happening in these games to understand better what the core workings of those games are. It's not exactly just looking at the skills that's currently in use and what the player is currently doing. It's looking at, for example, patterns of behavior. Let's say someone uses special on the enemy team and 2 enemy players push with that special. What can be inferred from that, right? In my opinion, what can be inferred from that is that specials are a catalyst for teammates to push. Is that they see the pressure that a special is putting on and that they want that, in my opinion, for Splatoon analysis is just looking at patterns of behavior and understanding why things happen the way they do, not necessarily pause spamming a replay and talking in super nuanced terms to confuse viewers. That's not analysis. That's fodder. I don't know if I mentioned most of it isn't needed. Most analysis isn't needed. To which I would say to look at to other communities. I mean, let's take League for example. I know nothing about it. However, I have talked to someone called Cernix before, who is pretty knowledgeable in League, and in my conversations with him, he's talked about the fact that League has a lot of deep theory videos. I feel like that kind of content is just for people who are curious. That's just for people who want to learn the inner workings of in such depth. It's more so entertainment, in my opinion. But it's still necessary. Don't get me wrong, it's still necessary. We need that kind of content. What there is though that makes it easier is simple theory. which is kind of the answer to what Hexen is posing, which is that low levels won't understand what he's saying. I think he's just overcomplicating it. I think in his mind he's overcomplicated it too much. He's talking about the fact that all the nuances that he's going to speak about, and like the fact that he has to pause every frame. Why are we pausing every frame? What's the goal? What's the theme? What are we trying to analyze? Until you've actually understood that, there's no point in analyzing. Personally, I've been on a bit of a trip the past year or so just looking at the fundamentals of Splatoon, because no one's really outlined them. And a lot of what I say is based on my own opinion and based on interpretation of what I see, but it's the theme that I've started with the idea of game sense. What is game sense? Okay, game sense is a culmination of skills that a player has. That's my definition for it. Okay, what are the skills? Well, obviously, if there's skills, there has to be a skill tree. You learn something to learn another. I discover that there's only two major skill sets, because in my time looking at gameplay with that in mind, that I understand a certain theme, and that theme is the fundamentals of Splatoon. I want to look at the most basic, bare bones. What can you see on your screen, and what can be inferred from what's seen on the screen? And I think about it while I'm watching these videos. I look at the video. I don't pause spam. I'm just watching the whole way through. Minute video takes me 25 minutes. A 10-minute video takes me 10 minutes. Sometimes I'll pause and watch back just so I can confirm my suspicion. But otherwise, I'm just watching it because I want to understand if my idea is right or not and how to create new. So analysis is needed. Analysis is needed. They have all this analysis, and it's for a good reason. To reach gold in League, you need about 2,000-3,000 hours. Something crazy like that. It could be different server to server. That's just the average that I've seen. It's about 2,000 hours. But the game has gotten to such deep levels of knowledge, and the players have become so good at it because of all this analysis that's come out. Because it's made into simple theory, because they have outlined the fundamentals of the game, because they've broadened out and they've not been too nuanced from the start. You don't speak to someone who doesn't know anything with nuance on the topic at the start. You give a broad definition and a broad understanding of it, and then go deeper when they understand it a little. So that's my little ramble on it. I just want to put this out there because I don't agree with the Splatoon community, like, at all, on these sort of things. I've heard so many people say Splatoon is not that deep. No, it is that deep. I just think people are stupid and they don't want to. They're too lazy to get better, to be honest. Yeah, that's it. See.